Hello, Serendipitous here with another video for the Board Game Shelf. This is something a little bit different, but still adding it to this playlist. Um, in the Marvel Legendary video, I mentioned that Cobweb and I are doing a bit of a board game review or audit, kind of an audit of our own collection, and kind of deciding what games we wanted to remove because we don't see ourselves playing them, or we feel like we have other games we would play more often, or games we enjoy more in certain situations. And this is currently the pile of games that we are going to be giving away. I believe I've made a video on just about everything, on almost everything here. But I'm not going to update the playlist accordingly. It's just kind of any good librarian knows a collection gets updated and over and over. So I thought I'd give a brief explanation as to why we're not keeping these. So here we have Apples to Apples. We've just never really played this, and although it is definitely a classic, and I played a lot of Apples to Apples growing up and in college, I think a lot of other games have picked up where Apples and Apples picked up what Apples to Apples was putting down and kind of improved from there. So several of these games, especially the smaller ones, are basically kind of like party games that we felt we probably wouldn't be playing because we have other games that we already have that we would bring to a like party or board game night situation or casual board game night kind of scenario. That applies to Quitch and Sting and Discombobulation. We either played them, or if we could not play them ourselves because some of these are three players or more, then we looked at the rules and kind of decided, is this something we would want to keep? Now, I think each of these games are, so I now know basically how to play each of these games. Didn't take that long. I know in some cases I didn't have anything to say when I made a video about them. But I think, especially on the internet, and especially with Board Game Geek, you can learn how these games go. But it just kind of, we didn't think that, Cobweb and I didn't think that any of these games would really be played that much when we already have things like a couple different versions of Uno, as well as Cover Your Kingdoms, 5-second Rule, and a bunch of other very, very, very light party games, essentially. So, Love Letter, I really, really enjoy Love Letter. The reason we're giving this away is that the box is just so big for what the game is. Ever since this AEG version, with this box version was published, basically, if you go to a game store these days, and find Love Letter, everything is just in a little small drawstring bag that's like a quarter of the size of that. And so we're definitely going to be getting an updated version of Love Letter, updated as in the way it's packaged and everything. So yeah, just giving that away because there is a better version out there that will take up less space and will be easier to carry around. This isn't exactly a game. This is just kind of I have a bunch of puzzles and brain teasers and things like that. This is a cube, a bunch of wooden blocks that are connected by basically rubber bands and stuff, and it turns into a bear, so square bear and all that. So I just didn't really have I've played with it a little bit, and I think other people will probably enjoy this a bit more than I will. So that's that. 3-in-1. This is Sudoku Color, Sudoku Kids, and just normal Sudoku. Just a bunch of magnet tiles, like the kinds you'd find like magnet poetry words on our refrigerator, that kind of magnets. We probably wouldn't really be using this either. If either of us wanted to do Sudoku, especially Cobweb, she likes doing that, we would use our phones. Honestly, there are plenty of apps to do that. And also, we don't have kids yet, so we don't have a reason right now to have travel games like this. This NYC emergency room thing, medical mystery. So this was actually really cool. We have played through this. It's essentially kind of I guess you could call it an escape room thing. This is something that could be played, I think could be played again, maybe. But normally I'm a bit squeamish when it comes to medical stuff and emergency room stuff and everything. So a family member who knew I liked escape rooms but didn't know that I did not like medical stuff got me this. And Cobweb and I went through all of the mysteries, and honestly, I enjoyed it. It wasn't too bad. I thought it was really cool the way that they made you feel like you were like an actual emergency room doctor. They gave you all the information you needed to kind of basically there were reference guides that would just tell you instantly, like, if it's this, you should do this kind of test or whatever, and like the kind of information that doctors probably would have readily available in their minds in these kinds of situations. There were booklets that gave you that information. I thought it was very, very well done, and this is fantastic. We've just already done this, and we probably won't ever do this again. So we want to give this to someone who will go through it and will enjoy it as well. This here is Star Wars Trivial Pursuit. Again, we haven't played this for years. We played it like maybe once in the past, like almost decade or so, or like 8 years or so. So that's definitely a sign that hey, we should probably remove this in favor of games we'll probably play maybe a little more often than that. Funny Business is something that Cobweb brought with her when we got married. This is basically a party game where you kind of it reminds me a little bit of Snake Oil a little bit, where you're given like some words to or like you're given a prompt to kind of create a name for a silly business or something, like, I don't know, chiropractors and dogs or something like that. I don't know, and come up with a name for it. We have not played this, but we talked about it, and again, it could be a good party game, but it does take up a lot of space, and we just haven't played it ever. And then finally, we have People's Choice, which is this presidential card game. Basically, it's kind of like this president, not exactly a trivia game. It has a bunch of, it has a card for each president up to George W. Bush, because he was the most recent president when this was published. I got this along with a couple of other little like American history things from the old Ironsides Visitor Center, the USS Constitution Visitor Center in Boston, I believe. And I was just I just thought it would be cool to buy a couple of things from that visitor center, and this is one of them. Each president card has, like, the president's portrait on the front with the signature, like what number they are, when they served as president, what party they were a part of. And on the back of the card, there are a bunch of kind of facts about their family, their management style, their legacy, and that kind of thing. And essentially, you kind of like the people's. You're basically playing a game where you're trying to get points for matching whatever the people's choice is. You draw cards and you roll a dice to kind of determine what political party and what color or style of, like, family and management style and legacy and personality do the people favor, and then you try to pick a president that has the most matches of that. So it's very straightforward. Probably a good educational game for kids, but after playing it once or twice, we just thought we don't really have much of a use for this. Other people will probably use this, have more of a use for this. So that's pretty much it. We just went through all of our board, just looked at all of our board games and thought, do we want to keep this, yes or no? And if it's a yes, then that's it. We keep the game on the shelf. If no, then either we put it in the giveaway box, or we put it in a pile that says basically play one more time to see how and if we're on the fence, then we're putting it on a pile that says play one more time. Because sometimes, and I got one of my favorite board game reviewer YouTube channels is Actual Lull. That's the word actual and then OL at the end, so it looks like Actual Lull. It's this guy this guy who's a great and witty writer who reviews board games and also talks about, I haven't seen him review board games as much necessarily, but he kind of talks about the board game hobby and kind of like, participating in it and managing a board game collection, and what games are good for, what games to buy for, or what things to buy for the board gamers and things like that. He's fantastic. Very equal amounts informative and entertaining. Love it. Love that channel. He's had a couple of videos that talk about in which he reviews other people's board game collections or talks about managing your board game collection. And I took quite a few pointers from those videos, just sort of when he was talking about, like, the longer you keep something, the harder it can be to get rid of it. There can be, like, nostalgia or thinking that maybe you'll need it later or whatever. But more often than not, you really don't need it. If you don't need it as much as you think you do. And one of my favorite pieces of advice that he gives is that if you're not sure, or if you're a bit hesitant to give a game away, play the game at least one more time. Like give it an honest playthrough, even, especially if it's been a long time. Like if it's been a few years, play the game one more time, and then see how you feel. Because then that will help you kind of get rid of the rose-colored glasses and kind of see the game for what it is, and help you to kind of understand if it is the kind of game that you enjoy at this stage in your life. And I really appreciate that, and that's definitely, especially having gone played People's Choice, or looking at Star Wars Trivial Pursuit and whatever. And there are some games that we had in our play one more time pile that we're keeping, or that we feel we have a good reason to keep. But if we don't have a good reason to keep, we didn't have a good reason to keep any of these. And honestly, I'm impressed that we're giving away this many. We still have a lot. We still have like over 150 games probably still. But the fact that we're giving away like about 10-ish games is great. That'll leave room for other games that we care more about. So anyway, if you have any thoughts or experiences about board game collection reviews, I'd love to hear about them. Cobweb and I are having great success in doing that. And if you have questions, I'm happy to share my experiences, but especially look for his like board game collection review videos on the actual LOL channel. That will give you some great pointers there. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And until next time, all the best.